Excited. This is Jesse, and I am back for kind of a channel update video, but also there's a couple topics that I want to talk about, some events, and I also wanted to give kind of an update on the Harry Potter, the Hogwarts Legacy game, because I put a ton more time into it. I haven't beat it yet, but I'm nearing the end of the game, I would presume, here fairly soon. And we're just going to wander around the castle while for you guys to have some background in this video. But I do want to address a few things because since recording the original video, I came across a few other game mechanics and types of levels and things where there's a little bit more that I think is going to be needed in order for the game to be playable by totally blind players. So before we get into that, like I said, we're just going to wander around Hogwarts right now. Actually, I'm going to make sure. Let me make sure that my
quests.
Okay.
Wand mastery.
Okay, I'm gonna.
Basis for wand master. Mouse right button.
I'm gonna deactivate
Track
that
quest.
for now, just so we can
level
freely wander. Hopefully, I won't get any owls or anything to spoil anything here. But yeah, so to everyone who has been supporting the channel, thank you very much for your support. I've actually gotten some really nice emails, a couple mentions on Twitter lately. Even though I really haven't streamed much at all in the last 6 months or better, I got a nice message from someone who was like, hey, myself and a couple of other people inspired someone to try streaming for themselves and get back into, another person who wanted to get back into game accessibility. Yeah, I've just gotten some really nice, kind of cool messages from people about the channel and the work that I'm doing. And so, you know what, that's the kind of stuff that keeps you going, and it's really cool. So definitely very much appreciate that, everybody. Thank you for that. If you are new to the channel, I do unlock videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday, sometimes more often. Like if there's a special event happening, maybe there's a cool accessible game that came out, or some breaking news of something happening, or maybe it's just a holiday, or just maybe I'm in a good mood and I just want to give you guys a little bonus content. So yeah, Monday, Wednesday, and Saturdays, and I do cover a lot of different things. I've actually had even a couple people professionally, vision teachers and things, who are working with students, working with kids, and like they're like, well, this student, they lost their vision, they would like to be able to play video games again, is there something out there? So I would point them to a lot of different resources, a lot of different games, give them a brief overview that, like, hey, your modern platforms, your iOS, Android, even your Xbox and PlayStation 5 have some nice built-in accessibility features. So that's really cool. But I have videos for low vision content, totally blind accessible game content, hardware reviews, kind of other geeky videos, virtual reality stuff, educational game, VR games, VR apps, iOS game. Yeah, just a little bit of everything. Everything is divided into playlists, so definitely feel free to check out the playlist section. Hopefully you'll find something that will be of help to you. As I mentioned earlier, I do have a Twitch stream. It's just YouTube or Twitch. Good Lord, it is just twitch.tv/illegally cited. And like I said, I'm kind of busy with so many other things right now. I have had a couple people ask me, hey, when are you going to do streaming again? The honest answer is I really don't know. I mean, I'm working with so many people during my day job and consulting and doing videos and there's I'm kind of right now where like that's the one thing that sort of had to take a break because I just want some downtime, not in front of people or a camera or just to be able to maybe play games or something without recording anything or streaming anything. I haven't totally given it up yet, but it's definitely. I know it'll disappoint some people to hear, but it is not very high on my priority list right now is to do streaming again. I do enjoy it. I do enjoy it sometimes, really, especially when you get a few people in there. It can be really a lot of fun. But right now, I'm going to keep doing the YouTube stuff because that's where I'm most comfortable. That's where I think I can do the best work. I've got a good following here.
I think I know where we can find Doran. Meet me in the Forbidden Forest and we can tell him about the symbol the Mooncalves made.
Oh, okay, there's another side quest. So yeah, I did get an owl. Just ignore that. It's in the middle of a series of side quests that I'm doing. But I'm just giving you a little tour of Hogwarts right now. Now I hear Peeves, dingbat. But yeah, so that's kind of a channel, like I said, a channel update. I've got more accessible games on the way, especially iOS games. Not too much in the way of PC games right now. I think there may be one or two here and there that I need to look into, but nothing extraordinary that I can think of as far as like audio games or anything like that coming up in the immediate future. That being said, there are some accessible games, or there are some games with accessibility features coming, I mean, despite lacking some areas, like I said, I'm actually, as a low vision user, I'm, for the most part, pretty impressed with Hogwarts accessibility, Hogwarts Legacy, and I need to, since I found one of these, I need to go all stealth-like and get this chest real quick. There we go. All right, perfect. But yeah, so I found out earlier this week, actually, somebody, thank you, I forget who had mentioned it, but very much appreciated, cued me into, we had already heard that Street Fighter 6 this summer, there's a lot of blind players that play fighting games, Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, Killer Instinct, all that kind of stuff. Street Fighter 6 is going to have some accessibility features. I'm not entirely sure to what extent, but then a couple days ago, I found out from somebody via Twitter sent me a little video link to Tekken. The next Tekken game is, I don't know if it's going to have full menu narration or what type of accessibility for totally blind players. But I know at the very least they do have some high contrast modes in there, and so if you follow me on Twitter, you'll see me. I think I retweeted that earlier this morning, and that was pretty cool to see. So a lot of your games, that where you're getting your red and blue or yellow silhouettes of characters, and it looks like you can even like get rid of some of the background details so you can see the like the fighters in the foreground. So you can have like a lighter background, darker background, but they were showing a few different high contrast modes for the new Tekken game. So yeah, I definitely want to check that out when it comes out at some point later this year. I don't know when that's coming out, but yeah, like I said, I know a lot of blind players love fighting games because they're traditionally, even if they don't have any accessibility features, just by the nature of the way they play. I remember back in the mid 90s, man. I remember, shout out to Blind Joe. I remember we were staying somewhere and he was showing me all the cool stuff in like the fatalities and babalities and all that crazy stuff in Mortal Kombat 2 we were playing on a big screen TV. It was awesome. So, I mean, yeah, even back then, playing fighting games and stuff like that. So that's some good news. We're going to be getting that. Even though it got delayed a couple weeks, I think, we're getting The Last of Us Part 1 is coming to PC. So those of you, I know there was some complaints early on that, hey, why is this a PlayStation exclusive? Now it's coming to PC. Now keep in mind though, you are gonna need kind of a hefty you're gonna need a hefty computer to run it. A pretty decent video card.
Escape.
You're gonna need, a good amount of RAM and processor. I mean, you can check the Steam or Epic pages. Give me just 1 second. I'm gonna pick this lock real quick. Now this is cool because this is totally audio. I'm not looking visually at all. You can kind of hear the little ding or the click sounds. Oh, this is neat. Oh, what is in here? Huh, okay. This is somewhere different. I don't know if I've been. I'm unlocking new parts of this castle all throughout the game. It's ridiculous. It's really, really cool, actually. But yeah, I mean, when I'm playing this, the audio lock-picking game, it basically kind of plays like Skyrim did, but not quite, or the Elder Scrolls games. It's very similar. But yeah, I do that entirely via audio cues. So that's already accessible. But what I was saying is, we have the Tekken game, we have The Last of Us is coming to PC. So people who didn't have a PlayStation 5, but again, like I said, if you have an old bargain basement computer, you may not be able to run that. I don't remember what the actual specs are. I don't really have to worry now that I have my nice shiny new gaming rig here, which by the way is working fantastically. It's an outstanding system so far. So knock on wood, but I am very, very happy with this computer right now. So yeah, I will be able to cover things like that. But I mean, what the cool part about especially Tekken and stuff like that is that, oh, you know what? I'm just gonna brute force this. I'm not even like I kind of know how to solve them, but we're just gonna solve this while I chat here. These arithmancy doors. But what I think is the most promising about Tekken, Street Fighter, we look at things like Nintendo. Oh, nice! Literally the second thing. Awesome. Got in that arithmancy door. There's been some talk amongst blind social media, Twitter, that kind of a thing, where we're getting a lot of accessibility in like North American, even European game companies, but Japanese game companies seem to kind of be falling behind a little bit, and maybe not quite as really they didn't take accessibility quite as seriously, or it just hadn't caught on yet. And that seems to be changing, because the cool thing about even that Tekken video was that the guy that was presenting, they were talking in Japanese. So I had no clue what they were saying, but as they were cycling through these high contrast themes, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, they're showing it off, and, that's kind of a cool thing. Okay, let me see if I can get this. There it is.
Gorgon portrait. Guide pages. An oil painting of a beautiful Gorgon and her suitor, whose eyes are wisely averted as he bends to kiss her hand. It is said that the artist who painted this accidentally gazed at his subject when he delivered the painting, and is now forever a sculpture in a garden in Greece. Spacebar. Continue.
Huh. Okay then. All right, another page. But yeah, I mean, I love the fact that we're actually, like, Japanese game companies are starting to catch on, so maybe there's a snowball's chance in hell that we'll get, like, for Nintendo to make their next system. Maybe we'll get some, at least, acknowledgement of game accessibility. That would be very, very exciting if they finally did, because, like I said, Sony and Microsoft, they're both there. We really just need Nintendo to follow. I mean, like I said, we do have the magnifier, and we've had that for a little while on the Switch, so I'll give them a little bit of credit there. But other than that, like I said, there really just hasn't been much of anything as far as accessibility on Nintendo. But I'm very happy to see at least some game companies in Japan are actually starting to try to add a decent level of accessibility. Will games be accessible to totally blind players right away? I don't know. Probably not. But like I said, I know it's frustrating. I totally get it. There are games as even a low vision player that I want to be able to play that I can't, or that I can't very well or very easily. But that being said, the fact that they're advancing and the fact that they're at least acknowledging accessibility and making a reasonable to really good first efforts. I mean, I didn't expect much out of 2K, to be honest with you. Like, when this game came out, I thought, oh, maybe they'll have some subtitles, maybe they'll have a couple of other, maybe control rebindings, the stuff that's really starting to become standard. But they wouldn't really have anything regarding, like, I didn't expect menu narration or half the stuff that Hogwarts Legacy has here. But, I know AAA, rightfully so in a lot of ways, AAA gets a lot of shit these days because, it's the same thing over and over again. There's just not as much imagination. There, buggy products here and there. All those types of things. But, even AAA games are starting to get more accessibility. Don't mind me, sorry, just picking another lock. Perfect.
What do we have here?
So that's one of the most... Oh, nice. I need those. That is one of the most exciting things to me, is just the fact that Japanese game developers are starting to implement accessibility. Because, especially, there's a lot of blind players, like the text-based games and even some other games where it's like RPGs, just by their very nature, as long as they can get around the world and if they have menu narration and stuff, especially like a turn-based battle type of thing, that's another genre that could be very, very accessible in the not too distant future for blind players. So I'm just, since, like I said, about 2018 or so, every year there's just so much more happening in accessibility. I think GDC is this week as I'm recording this, and apparently there, remember when it was like, oh, you get one session at CSUN, or you would get some one-off accessibility mention or panel or session at some conference, but like literally every day, I saw that Ian Hamilton had tweeted that, oh, there's multiple accessibility talks and sessions at the Game Developers Conference this week. So that's just really, really cool that so many things are being taken seriously. Have I been here? Is this not one chamber? Okay, I think that's the chamber that I was in and I did a mission, so I'm not going to go in there right now. But I'm just kind of, like I said, wandering around while we're chatting here. You can enjoy the scenery, enjoy the ambiance, whatever. But yeah, so it's only not quite March yet, 2023, and the stuff. Oh, here's another one of those things I need to find. I need to find one of those keys, those Dedelian keys. But I'm excited about even how many things we might see regarding game accessibility this year. Moving into as a related topic, the PlayStation VR 2 came out like either, I don't know, within the last couple of days or within the last week tops. Oh, there he is. Come on, get scared and go down to your little thingy down there so I can smack you. But the PSVR 2 is out, and boy, if anything, like it would have been so cool if I would have gotten, like people get review copies of things
Spacebar.
or hardware, things
Slap.
like that. And
Escape.
it would have been so
Back.
cool if I would have got one because the PlayStation 2 VR is very expensive. It's like $550, which I mean the quality of it seems like it's pretty good. It's getting really positive reviews around the board. But I already own two VR headsets. Yes, they're both Oculus, but or Meta, but um, I can't buy another headset right now until I know that that there are accessibility features in the headset, and B, that there are at least some accessible games that I can reasonably play through. Right now for PlayStation VR 2, there is most of the games that are out for it are games that were out on other platforms, Quest or other things. Horizon, what I forget, was it Call of the Mountain or something like that? That's their main game that is exclusive to PSVR 2 right now. And from what I've seen, there really isn't a lot in the way of accessibility features for that. And I've tried other games. Again, I love first person shooters. But even that game, like where you're shooting a bow and arrow, I've tried games on the Rift where you're trying to use a bow and arrow. And I suck spectacularly at those because I just can't aim. I can't aim at enemies in VR because it's one of those things where like I can't aim down the sights when I play on a flat screen.
Now, was it 2 pinches of Angelica or 3?
Before I invented flu powder.
Alrighty, okay, we got two ladies over there. Um, but I have trouble aiming in VR on a flat screen game. I rely on a crosshair or other kind of a cursor to help me aim, and most, because they want to do the immersive thing, I get it, but because most VR games don't have a way for you to have an aiming reticle or a crosshair or anything like that, one of the genres that I really, really like is actually one of the hardest for me to play in VR. Now, like I said, I would love to be able to get a PlayStation VR. I wish they would have gotten a review unit because from what I've heard, the dashboard part itself, because the PlayStation 5 has that menu narration, has this built-in screen reader, that also applies to the dashboard in the headset. So there's a couple things, I guess, during the setup process that doesn't speak, so it's a little bit of hit and miss. But once you're in there, like, you can... Oh, what is this? I didn't even do this before. Huh, okay. But yeah, like, it has menu narration in the VR headset menu, which is what I would have killed for on the Quest especially, but the Rift and the Quest. So it makes me really kind of want one, but yes, I could afford it, but no, I don't really need another headset until I know there's a lot of product that I can play, until I see more accessibility move forward. But at least it's a good sign. Like, bravo Sony. If you want to read more about the accessibility features from a blind user's perspective, go look up Brandon Cole or Super Blind Man on Twitter. He's posted a link to his PSVR 2. So I found out from him through his review, he covered the accessibility from a totally blind user's perspective. So the games themselves aren't there yet, unfortunately, but at least the dashboard you can kind of get around in the headset. So, little progress by little progress, things are sort of starting to happen. So that's at least good. I'm, baby steps, but at least we're getting somewhere. That's cool. So I wanted to talk about that. I don't remember the last time I did an update video. I don't believe the Nintendo Direct was, maybe it was. Maybe, God, did I do a video for the Nintendo Direct that came out a couple weeks ago? I'm not going to go through everything here, but just a couple of highlights if I didn't. It's really great that the Game Boy and Game Boy Advance games came to the Switch Online service. Now, if you just have the regular Switch Online, you can play Game Boy games, but if you have the paid version of the Switch Online service, then you get the Game Boy Advance, which I still have from earlier. Okay, I'm not going to do that quest right now, even though I really want to. It would be a huge spoiler, so we're not going to touch that right now. Can I go in here? Yes, I can. Yes, I can. So that's really cool. We have Metroid Prime, a remastered version, which I haven't picked up yet, but I'm really, really considering it because my friend and I on the GameCube, when that game came out, we were like, wow, that is very, very cool. We wanted to check that out. And it is out again on the Switch. And what's even nicer, what I didn't realize right away, is they actually added, oh, where the hell is this? Hidden, huh. I don't know if I've been in there yet. Interesting. But they've added difficulty settings. So if I remember correctly, the original Metroid Prime just had the one difficulty setting, but now there's a casual mode, which, you know what, like I said, I have so many other things that I want to do, but if I want to just kind of relive my memories of playing Metroid Prime, but I want a little bit easier time just to go sightseeing again, I could do that. So yeah, I might pick that up eventually and give it a shot. Of course, we have the new Kirby game. I think that's literally out today as I'm recording this, and I totally forgot about it. But now that I think about it, ooh, a big old chest. Should be a legendary item in here. Sweet. Excellent. Getting a lot of plants from my herb garden. But yeah, so Nintendo, like I said, they've got a lot of Japanese RPGs. I'm not very interested in those. But the Game Boy stuff, the Metroid Prime remaster, that was a really cool thing. I'm cautiously hopeful for the new Zelda game. I really, really want it to be good, and I'm sure it will be. I mean, I'm sure it's going to be a quality game, but I have a couple reservations. One, from an accessibility point of view, just because, well, Nintendo has not shown much in the way of, hey, yeah, let's add accessibility to our games. So there's that, but then there's also the Switch came out in 2017. You know, that's several years old now, and other games already have kind of maybe not run super well. You know, it's some old hardware. Now, granted, if you get a team like Nintendo, they really know how to optimize their games for their systems. But even some first-party games have ran kind of crappily in some ways recently. So I'm curious what the performance... Oh, yeah, we don't want to do that. I'm curious what the performance is going to be. And I'm also curious... one of the things that really turned me off to Breath of the Wild was the whole weapon degradation thing, which I really didn't like at all. Other games have done it, like even when I played the Elder Scrolls games, Oblivion, Skyrim. Yeah, Oblivion had weapon damage or weapon degradation. But the thing with that was you could get repair hammers. If you looked somewhere, you could find an unbreakable repair hammer, so you could always keep your weapons repaired. And even when you weren't repairing them, like your weapons, they would last a while. You could play a good, half hour, depending on what you were doing with the weapon before you really, really had to, before it was utterly broken. But the weapons that were in Breath of the Wild, it's like, oh, you look at them funny. You know, you get this little piece of straw or a toothpick that, like, oh, you looked at an enemy and the damn thing broke in half. So I was not a big fan of that, and you know, the focus on that, and then the focus on having to figure out and do all your crafting for your recipes for your food and stuff. I just never really got into that. I guess I find that I really like. I mean, I love the open world. I love the style of like, hey, go anywhere, do anything, explore. That aspect of Breath of the Wild I really loved. Um, but I love the Zelda dungeons. I love, you know, a good story. I mean, well, granted, the Zelda games aren't really known for their story, but it's just their gameplay. Okay, I know what to do with those. So I'm curious what Zelda's gonna be, but I just hope it runs well, and I hope they don't have too many tedious game mechanics, really. I know some people loved it, so it's kind of a divided opinion, but the last few Zelda games I really have not gotten into. I think the last one that I really played through and actually finished was Twilight Princess. I started Skyward Sword. I even picked up the remaster on the Switch, which I really, really should get around to playing now that, you know, they've added more traditional controls to the Switch version. But the last few Zelda games, they haven't clicked with me. I mean, back in the Twilight Princess, Wind Waker days, even Link Between Worlds was excellent. But some of the more gimmicky ones, Skyward Sword, even like the DS ones, where, what was it, like Spirit Tracks, and I forget what the other one was called. There was another one. There was like I don't remember. There were 2 DS games. But yeah, so I'd love to get back into Zelda again.
What are you up to now?
Never you mind, lady. But, so that's some Nintendo stuff. Like I said, it was kind of an okay presentation. We do know that it's really bizarre because E3 is happening this year, but none of your big. And sorry, that was my phone. It was that's why the game got lowered for a minute because I was getting an incoming call. I will call him back after recording this video. And I don't even know where. I'm just wandering around and I'm totally lost. I'm trying to get out of this greenery area.
Oh, it's you! Just the person I need.
Yeah, good for you. I'm not gonna talk to you right now. We're just gonna leave this area, this quadrant. So I'm curious what's gonna happen with the summer events and all that stuff too, but I don't know. Sony had their state of play, their kind of surprise state of play yesterday, and the beginning of it focused a lot on virtual reality, their new PlayStation VR 2. Of course it would, because that just came out. And they were showcasing some games that were coming to that. And it was, again, they looked cool, but because they were in VR and I have so much trouble aiming, there were, I think, like 3 to 4, maybe even 5 titles that were first-person shooters. And just not having a crosshair, I don't know how accessible they're going to be for me. So despite how badly I would love to try those, I don't know if I will, or like I said, if I'm even going to get a headset anytime soon. So there's that. But there were some first-person shooters there. There's one game that is also available on PC, and it's also a flat-screen game. I have a video recorded for it that I will probably unlock for you guys fairly soon, actually. It's a really neat, just like a story-based game that has a really unique gimmick, and I believe it's called, I think it's called let's see, Before Your Eyes or something like that. And the whole gist of it is like you're going through this person's life, but the problem is every time you blink, it you're trying to not blink so you get to see what's happening during a given scene, but every time you blink, time passes and then you're zipped on to the next story piece or the next scene. So it's a really neat idea. And even if you have like a webcam on a flat screen computer, you can interact with it that way. But they're doing it through VR.
Across one's duelist to beat.
Yeah. Okay. What are you doing, weirdo? You just kind of like fell over. Okay, that was funny. So yeah, they had those for VR. There's going to be a Resident Evil 4 demo for the upcoming remake that's coming out next month. I'm not sure when the demo is coming out, but I think it's soon. That looks really interesting. Like, I loved Resident Evil 4. It was a really cool game. But that was one where I had trouble too, because instead of having the crosshair, they did like this really thin kind of laser sight on your weapon. And so I had a heck of a time seeing it. And I watched one of my roommates at the time play through it. So I really loved what the game did. And I played through like the first, bit of it. But eventually I just had a little bit of trouble. So I'm curious to see, especially being a remaster, if they're going to add any accessibility features to it. Because I would love to fire this baby up on my PlayStation 5 or my PC. Because actually, I think that's coming to PC as well. But I can't remember. So I'm very curious to see what that's going to be. They showed this like Naruto fighting game. I'm not really into that. I mean, it looked really good. So if you like anime games, it just like the Dragon Ball Z game that came out a couple years ago. I mean, it looks really good. I mean, the art style, the art quality, that kind of a thing. It looked really good, but it just wasn't really my jam. Their major thing was they showed a bit of gameplay footage for the upcoming Suicide Squad game, and I don't know a lot about the Suicide Squad as characters. Like, I've heard that recent movie of theirs, it wasn't so hot, so I never got around to watching it. I like some of the bad guys. I think, I don't even know who, like I said, showing my ignorance, I don't even remember who was all in the Suicide Squad, but the gameplay looked fast, it looked fun, and it seems like you can play multiplayer or you can have AI bots with you when you play. So that would be one that I would be potentially interested in. Yeah, we're not going to go out in the wilderness because I don't want to do the loud battles out in the wild when we'll just wander around Hogwarts a little bit more. So there, we have that. And there were a few other games in there, but nothing, too much that jumped out at me. But what I really wanted to talk about is I wanted to talk a little bit more about Hogwarts Legacy, which is partly why we are also in the game for this video. So I did my initial sort of first impressions, a look at the accessibility features of Hogwarts Legacy, and overall, like I said, I am impressed at how many accessibility features they put in. Am I really bummed that the game is not accessible to players with no usable vision or very little usable vision? Yeah, absolutely. I'm bummed about that. But like I said, going forward, if they make a future game, I could see them figuring it out. I mean, the amount of text-to-speech that is in all of the menus, like whether you're looking at inventory, settings, crafting, you go to like your potion station, you go to your conjuring thing, you go to just any number of things. You're working with beasts in your safe area or whatever. the Room of Requirement. It all speaks, and it's great, and that has helped me as a low vision gamer immensely. Reading quests, having a navigation line to point you to a quest objective, that helps greatly. Now the problem with it is like I said in the original video, the you don't get the ability to use the quest marker until you get to Hogwarts. So there's a whole prologue part of the game that does not have this because it's tied to you getting this book. And the thing with it is that you could easily add that as an accessibility feature, I think, to be like, hey, as an accessibility feature, allow this to be accessible from the beginning of the game. What I didn't know is that there's another problem with the accessibility navigation line. I also said in the original video that it doesn't point you in the direction of said line. You know, it'll poof the line out there, but it won't face you in that direction. But one other thing that I found out later is you get to these, these one-off levels, essentially, kind of like a Zelda dungeon. It could be a cave, it could be a castle, it could be a tomb, could be any number of different things. And because they are meant to be these combination combat and puzzle dungeon type of things, again, maybe a lighter version of a Zelda dungeon, when you are in those environments, there is no navigation assists at all. So you can get to where you need to do the quest, but if you go into one of those side paths, if you go into one of those little dungeony areas, you do the little V thing here, and see how it just kind of, it doesn't give me anything, it just brings up the book and it disappears. That's basically what happens when you're in a dungeon, because hey, the game is saying, no, you are in a puzzle dungeon now, and we would like you to solve it. We're not gonna, basically point you to the solution for everything, which on a level I understand, but at the same time, that would be another instance of where, as an accessibility option, there would have to be some additional navigation and even puzzle mechanic cues, because there are times where you need, like, there's any number of things that you need to do regarding different spells. You need to use Accio to pull things towards you. You need to use Levioso or Wingardium Leviosa to hover an item so that you can, like, jump on it, like, jump on a hovering crate and then climb up to another ledge. Or you need to do something, look at symbols in a certain order so that you know how to unlock a door. Like, there are certain puzzle mechanics and navigation mechanics that you need to get through some of these areas that are not accessible. And I hadn't gotten really too many of those when I was playing the game early on. So I noticed a lot more of those as the game progressed. Could they be made accessible? Yes, I think they absolutely could. The likely, like, if it was just adding the navigation line from the beginning and making a few other tweaks, I think that it wouldn't be too bad. But some of the, making some of these other extra puzzle mechanics and trying to get you navigated to through certain puzzles and things, I don't know if that would be easy enough for them to make that large second pass in to make the current game accessible. I mean, they could, but I think they would have to do a fairly significant amount of development to make that work. I mean, they've got a great baseline, so maybe it's easier than I even think it than I think it would be. For really serious puzzles, could they even have something to say, well, we know that we didn't get it right this first time, but remember when The Last of Us Part 2 came out, when you get to that part of a dungeon, if you pause the game, you could get the option to skip that little piece of the dungeon. So even if they added little bypasses for stuff like that, I mean, just to make it so you could progress through the game, the Hogwarts Legacy could be made blind accessible, but I think there is a little bit more work that needs to be invested than I originally thought. Could it be done? Yeah, I think it could. Is it likely that they will do it? I don't know, but I'm going to say I wouldn't hold my breath. It is a really bummer, though. Like I said, I totally get, especially if you grew up in the age of Harry Potter. The Harry Potter, I'm trying to think of something my age that I grew up, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That's, like I grew up with them. So I love the movies. I love the games, the cartoons. But if you grew up with Harry Potter, and then to not being able to play in that universe, because I know this is going to suck. I know it's going to hurt when I say this, but if you like this universe, this is a damn good game that really realizes it doesn't rely on any of the characters really, other than there's like, there's a couple, like there's a Weasley person, there's a Phineas Nigellus is actually in the game, the guy from the Painting and later books. They're in there, but like it's its own story. It's using the whole universe, and it's using Hogwarts and Hogsmeade and everything. It's using that as a backdrop, but it's their own characters, their own stories. But there's things that I remember hearing about this in this series. Yes, I found where where you have to, what is it, tickle the pear to get into the secret kitchen area. You find the room of requirement. You find a little like I found the passage to Honeydukes, the secret passage behind the statue. I mean, there's little things like that just everywhere. Like if you've read the books and you pay attention to the universe, it's really cool just as you're looking around the castle and you're just looking for secrets or wandering between quests. And like if you have that knowledge of the universe, it's really, really cool and it's well done. So like I'm a big fan of what they did here. And so yes, I would absolutely love for it to be more accessible and be able to be played by blind players, because I think, and I've heard that this game has sold, what is it, like over 12 million copies already, which is just ludicrous. But with the whole controversy and everything leading up to the game and around the game's launch, it definitely didn't seem to be hurting sales. And like I said, I know it's hard. Like I know, you want to support trans rights. You don't want to support J.K. Rowling. I get that. But like the developers, you know how you hear a podcast or you hear something that'll say the thoughts and opinions of the hosts or of our guests don't reflect the opinions of blah, blah, blah. That's kind of the way I look at this is, the developers, I mean, especially with what they went out to do, they gave a lot of attention to they made it a game for fans. They realized the world very well. They added a lot of accessibility features that I was not even expecting at all. So they added a lot of accessibility features. They added, there's a blind character in the game. There's a trans character in the game. I've encountered both of them several times. And what I like about them is there's kind of a mention, and you can kind of tell, like for the blind guy, there's kind of an explanation of how he gets around that ties to magic. But like they don't focus on his blindness. It's about him and his brother. What are they, brothers? Or they're both Slytherin, and they're trying to save, like, they're trying to save their sister, and they both have different thoughts and different ways of doing it. Like when I first met the blind guy, I thought he was kind of a dick, but the more that when I encounter him, he was kind of trying to do the right thing, and I have more, the later it gets, because his name was Ominous, and the other brother or the other guy is Sebastian, and Sebastian is kind of he's kind of turned into something else. So I'm kind of more on the blind guy's side right now, and the trans character, she runs the Hogshead, or no, not the Hogshead, the Three Broomsticks in Hogsmeade, and I've done a couple missions for her, and I mean, yeah, they kind of allude to it. There's kind of a mention that she's trans, but it's not like hitting you, and I like that. I like games or movies or media where the character is just allowed to be a character. Like, that's the thing that I don't really like about, even like disability, trans, gay, LGBTQ, whatever, all this stuff. It's like you're banging it, you're hitting everyone over the head with it. Just let people be characters. There's more to people than their blindness, their disability, their gay status, or their trans status. I just want them to be a regular character. There can be good trans characters. There can be evil trans characters. There can be disabled characters that are good and that are capable. There can be disabled characters that are just complete assholes. There can be, they're just, again, it's same thing. Like, oh, I'm tall, I'm short, I'm fat, I have gray, I have dark hair, I'm a blonde, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's just another. I mean, it's great. I'm glad to see the representation, and you don't want to see like horrible, like just like a racial stereotype or something. But I mean, like, as long as the characters are treated well, I just want them to be a character. I don't want to be banged over the head, say, hey, look at me, I'm the main disabled character in this game, I'm the main trans character in this game, oh, I'm gay, or I'm whatever. I just want them to be a good character regardless. And so the developers, I think, have done a decent job of, like, personally, I don't have a problem with the quests and with the interactions that I've had with the blind character, that I've had with the trans character in this game. They all seem to have their personalities. Throughout the missions, you get to learn a little bit of backstory about them. You get to, they're fleshed out a little bit. So that's kind of what I wanted to say about Hogwarts Legacy. Like, I wanted to give an update both on the accessibility, some of the things I noticed about the accessibility of the game, and a little bit more that needs work if the game were to become playable to blind players. But I also wanted to touch on this whole controversy crap. Like I said, the whole boycott, the whole, oh, it's a token trans character, oh, it's a blind character. I mean, literally within the last few weeks, it's early in 2023, and I've seen, whoa, what are you? Oh yeah, I remember seeing you earlier. I don't know what the heck you are. Pretty much the conclusion that I'm coming to, if you watch or if you follow social media whatsoever, do not watch, do not play, do not listen, do not read anything these days, because it's going to piss somebody off. It's going to offend somebody. And some of it, yes, rightfully so. Some of it is bad. Some of it is just not cool. But I've seen stuff for music. I've seen stuff for multiple games. I've seen, oh, you shouldn't watch this because yada yada. I mean, it's like, don't say or write or read or, don't do anything, because you're going to get flack about it regardless. So I don't know. I mean, like I said, I'm all for inclusiveness. I'm all for equality. Like, yeah, I'm a person with a disability. I don't care. Like, I'm visually impaired. I want to be able to live on my own. I want to be able to get a job. I want to be able to support myself, support my family if I had one, be able to go out in the world and, go to entertainment things, get around my city, any of this other stuff. But really, that's it. Like I said, I don't care what somebody is. If I was in charge of hiring, if they can do the job, I don't care if they're blind or deaf or gay or trans or whatever. Like if they can do the job and they can get along with, or they fit well with what I need for my employees, I would hire them. I think it's just people are so wrapped up in identity lately that I just want to say, live your life. Let other people live their lives. And if it's not hurting you, who cares? Just leave them alone. I know I kind of got on a little side rant there, but I don't know. Hopefully that won't make too many people mad in this video, but I don't know. I mean, that's just like I said, I advocate for accessibility. That's my niche. I want the world to be better for people with disabilities in general, for people who are blind, low vision, visually impaired, deafblind, whatever. I mean, take your pick. But I that's what I'm advocating for. That's what I'm fighting for. That's what I'm doing consulting work for. That's what I do my day job for. And like I said, the game stuff, like, I will, if you want to support charities, if you want to help somebody, you want to call out the negativity, go ahead and do that. Those are great ways that you can help someone with, with a disability or gay or trans or whatever it happens to be. Like I said, I donate to things around the blindness field. Like, I donate for NVDA, that's free screen reader. I donate to that every year. I've donated to things like Games Done Quick for, the cancer, what is it called? The Prevent Cancer Foundation, for the charities that they do, or, the Child's Play charity that is a popular gaming, they do popular, or they do streams and fundraising for toward the end of the year. So, there are ways that you can still be helpful. And like I said, bottom line, just don't be a dick, I mean, that's kind of what it comes down to. Anyway, that is where I am going to wrap up this video. I hope it was helpful for you. Hopefully you found some interesting things about Hogwarts Legacy, about some of the recent things happening, the recent Sony and Nintendo events, PlayStation VR. We do have CSUN coming up in March. Who knows what other events are going to happen. We have the summer events, of course, E3, the Summer Game Fest or whatever. We've got a ton of games coming out in the near future. I've got my new gaming rig. I've got all my modern consoles. So I should be able to continue covering things. The YouTube channel is going to be going strong. Nothing is going to change about that, but hope you guys enjoyed the video. Give it a like if you did. Follow me on Twitter at BGFH79, youtube.com/illegally-cited, twitch.com/illegally-cited, illegally-cited.com, and yeah, just keep following the channel here. And until next time, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will chat with everybody again later.